Okay, so I'm sat in the iconic Labyrinth Gallery in the heart of Brighton for a truly extraordinary episode of the House Culture Podcast. This one is special for many reasons. Not only are we recording in such an inspiring setting, but the guests I have with me today are nothing short of legends, absolute giants in their respective worlds of music and art. They've come together like a creative powerhouse, an artistic Avengers, if you will.
Artistic Avengers.
To collaborate on the latest limited edition drop from Pepita Coffee. It is my honour and pleasure to welcome Fatboy Slim and TBOY to the House Culture Podcast today. Welcome, fellas.
No, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
You're welcome. It's a true honour to have you here. Norm, let's start with you. Can you tell us why we're here today, what we're talking about, and how you first got involved with Pepita Coffee?
It all comes down to my love of art, both the relationships. Pepita Coffee, I'm a fan of Inky and Dan Kitchener, and I saw somewhere on Instagram that they did limited edition coffee tins of their art, and as a collector, I was thinking I'll have some of that. So I ordered them, and then Andres saw my name on the order form and said, "Are you the Norman Cook? And would you like to collaborate?" So he wanted me to do a tin, but I'm no artist. I do music, and one of the reasons I love art is because I'm a total fanboy. I can't do it myself. I'm in awe of artists who do it.
Yeah.
So, but I collaborated with an artist friend of mine, and we did a tin, and then we did another tin, and then our relationship blossomed, and now I'm kind of part of the Pepita team.
Absolutely.
And then T-Boy, I just saw his stuff in a gallery.
Yeah.
Obviously, Smiley related is the way.
Well,
to my
indeed,
heart.
yes. You're a big Smiley
And
fan.
as I remember, I bought it, and then you got wind that I bought it, and then you got in touch.
Yeah, we had a pop-up gallery in Brighton, in the lanes. It's something we do now and again. So we had a pop-up gallery, and we try and bring in other artists to promote other artists along with my work. So we had a show there, and I think we gave you a call, and you popped in the week actually, and then bought a piece of my work. Sent me a little message saying, "Loving your work, baby," I think you said.
Sounds like
And,
me.
and I said, "Well, actually, while I've got you, I've got other ideas. I'd like to do a commission for you, and I've got this idea in my head." And I think one thing led to another, and that's where
we've
came
done
about.
we've done a sort of collab, just the two of us.
Yeah.
And then we finished the triangle with him doing a coffee tin for us.
Yeah.
So it's a burgeoning relationship based around my love of art. The Smiley is a very important.
The
thing
smiley,
to all of
the
it.
Smiley's a big thing.
And this fine range of coffee tins, which.
Well, indeed. And, last time we spoke, actually, you were kind enough to invite me over to your home. And, it's like a space that looks very similar to this in terms of the Smileys in there. How has your collection kind of grown over the years? How did it first start, really?
It first started with the Malcolm McLaren album, which had Keith Haring artwork on it. And the first time I ever travelled abroad in a band in the House Vines, we were in Amsterdam, and I saw this enormous piece on a wall, which was Keith Haring. I'm like, that's the bloke who did the Malcolm McLaren thing. So I just wandered into a museum, which I'd never done ever before, since I was forced to go to the Natural History Museum when I was at school. And we had, time to kill. And so I went in and I just fell in love with Keith Haring and the idea of art, the idea of buying art. I knew nothing about art, nothing about museums. But so it came through pop culture, through that mixture of music and musicians digging artists.
Yeah.
And then I just started collecting, and over the years, like I said, I'm a complete fanboy. And so I just love it. And as I've got older, I'll be able to afford to buy more, prints and original pieces. But what's happened now is I've got a reputation for being a bit of an art whore. So it's like, I kind of DJ at people's openings and things like that, and then they give me pieces, and you start as a fan, and then you get a relationship, and then maybe you do things together. There's so much crossover between music and art. Absolutely, so it's quite easy for things to think. So now a lot of the collection now is basically people give me things, and and I do things for them, and then when I curate a festival in Minehead, and I always have an artist in residence.
Yeah.
So we've had Dan Kitchener and the London Police. This year we've got some My Dog Size. So it's really love for me to hang. I mean, I just like hanging out with artists because I think they're really cool.
And so, Trevor, you've been dealing with an absolute expert in this kind of world.
Yeah.
How daunting was it? I mean, I'm going to fanboy out with the pair of you a little bit, because when I interviewed Norman last time around and I went round to his house, absolutely blew my mind. Such a nice thing to do, and really, really kind person to sit down with us at the beginning of the podcast. It was great. And I was a massive fan. I assume you were somewhere similar on that scale.
Yeah.
What was it like?
I mean, massively. I mean, we all grew up with your music, and it's daunting at first. But one thing about Norm is you're so down to earth. So you don't feel like you were so relaxed the first time I come around your house. I instantly didn't feel like I was. My wife, on the other hand, couldn't speak when Norm very kindly. I said to him, "I know this is a bit cheeky, but it's my wife's birthday. Could we come round for a cup of coffee?" And I said to my wife on the way to Brighton, "I've just got to make a stop off." And she said, "Oh, where are we going?" I said, "We're just popping round Fatboy Slim's for a cup of coffee." She squeaked, and I don't think she spoke. You're right now. You're okay now.
We're old pals now.
Old pals now, old friends. So yes, it was daunting at first, but amazing too. And I'm thankful for the opportunity. I mean, your name and your stamp massively helps as I'm building my brand, and it massively helps. And it's lovely to be part of Pepita Coffee. And see my work suddenly appear on these tins going out around the world, and it's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, how did the collaboration work between the two of you? How much influence did you have over what work was being used, or did you have any grand ideas and any friction between the two of you? Was there?
It's all this.
No, not really. I mean, Andres approached me and said, "Would you do this?" I said, "Well, of course I would. Absolutely. Why wouldn't you?" So I already had the idea in my head, and the smileys on tin number 1. They actually came from a piece of work. I did a piece for Norm called From Right Then to Right Now, and it was basically everything you love on it. It was based around a record box actually. So everything's sort of record size with lots of things going on in there, multi-layered thing, and part of it was a record, which is actually the influence for the smileys I've got at Labyrinth Gallery at the moment. So I took a high-res shot and then floated them onto that. The other one come from my reflections. So I came up with this concept called reflections, which is kind of steamed mirrors with writing on. And the other one was basically comes back to Keith Haring. We both got a mutual love of Keith Haring. Massive fan of Keith Haring. And
I can see your shoes, by the way. Which
I didn't. Just happened to have these on today.
Which gave birth to Keith's iconic albums. So I woke up one morning and I thought, if Keith Haring had designed the most iconic albums in the world, what would they look like? And I started drawing them. And I've done one of yours actually. I didn't tell you. I probably should have asked you, shouldn't I? Don't sue me.
I saw it. I saw it.
You'll want it in his house.
I was flattered.
All right, that's cool.
I mean, so in terms of like your growing collection, in terms of the different influences you're taking into your work, and the growing collection that you have, Norm, as well. Like, are you finding that? I was speaking to our House Culture co-founder who sat over there. He was saying that he hates walking into a gallery now because he's just run out of wall space. Do you find this similar at home in terms of what you're putting into your house? Is it one in, one out?
It's not quite, but it's getting more like a gallery rather than there's a nice wall in the middle of it, beautifully with space to breathe around it. Yeah, there's less room to breathe, and when people walk in, they don't go, "Oh, I like that." They just go, "Oh Christ, you've got a lot." But I don't know. It's every piece of art you have, the way you got it, the reason you bought it, the reason you fell in love with it, the reason that you love, makes every single piece special. So they're kind of like children. And I sort of rotate them a bit around the house, but I'm loath to ever take anything down because I've got an emotional attachment to every single one.
You don't want to put those children in storage at any moment.
No. I mean, you can always find room for one more. It's a bit like I mean, it takes up more room than a vinyl collection, but it's like you say to any record collector, it's like, do you really need that record? It's like, well, I kind of do, yes. I kind of need it.
With vinyl
it is
as well.
addictive.
Yeah, vinyl. I have that collection with my record collection in that I will remember where I bought this one record or how I got hold of it or what inspired me to buy it. It is like, a very personal connection. It's all tactile. It's all meaningful. Sorry, I jumped on what you're going to say.
No, that was it really. But I mean, I've got a lot of art in storage. I just haven't got the room at home now.
Yeah.
But I started my life as a frame maker. When I left art college, I had a 4-year apprenticeship as a colour finisher, frame maker. So I learned to carve and gild, and then took a long time off and came back to my art. But that's where I started collecting. Yeah. I used to save up my overtime, and then buy a piece of art because all this amazing artwork we used to frame for all the major London galleries. Yeah. So every now and again, I'd sort of put a piece to one side and pay it off monthly. And then they've stayed with me. So so my taste has changed a lot.
What's the jewel of that collection?
The jewel of that collection, I don't know. What would the jewel of that collection be? It's actually weirdly enough. I've got a print from an Italian in about 1966, and I can never pronounce his name, and I can't even read it. But it's fabulous, and I just love it. But I love every piece that I've got, and I think it just reiterates what you're saying. They're like children.
Yeah, you can't pick your favourite one.
No, I don't think I can really. Yeah. Probably I've got a nice Black Rat that I love. But no, not really.
Yeah,
and it's a bit like music. If you ask someone to name their top 10 songs, I think it would be different every day.
Totally.
I've probably got 3 tracks that would always be up there.
Yeah.
But no.
What's the jewel in your collection then?
Art-wise,
yeah.
I think probably knowing my love of the smiley. I've got a portrait of Harvey Ball, who was the inventor of the smiley in 1963. Portrait of him by the London Police. That I commissioned for a show that I was doing about the smiley. They did it, and then it didn't sell, so I just bought it.
Damn it! I thought you were going to say TBOY.
Next time.
Next time.
Is it true? I swear. Have you got a smiley painted on top of your house?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see it from space. Well, that was the idea, because they invented Google Maps. When I first did it, I actually think it's like you can see it from space. The FBI have a satellite and it can actually be seen. But now actually you can really see it. I mean, people, when I say where you live, they look it up on Google Maps. It's like, is yours the one with the big smiley on the roof? And I've got a flat roof and
why not?
And, why not?
Yeah, indeed.
I was going to put a big H to make it look like I had a helipad. Yeah, but apparently that's completely illegal, because you might lure helicopter pilots to their death. So it was between that and
some fanboy landing on your roof.
Happy helicopters. I mean, TBOY here is a Sussex boy, and we're sat here in a gallery in Brighton, which is obviously your hometown. How important is it? We spoke a bit about this, and last time we caught up, is it for you to support local talent within the local community and really give a sense of your Brightonness back?
I don't think I'm sort of prejudiced for Brighton talent. I think you should support all talent.
Yeah.
And like I said, I discovered Keith Haring through being on a Malcolm McLaren thing, and if he hadn't used Keith's work, then I never would have got into art. So for me, it's about showcasing, or whether it's on a coffee tin or a record sleeve, or just putting it on my Instagram. Yeah. But I don't think I single out local artists. I mean, I'm very Brighton centric. I'm very proud of the city I live in, and I do tons of sort of stuff in the community here. But I don't think I would be sort of preferential to Brighton's art.
Yeah.
Art. It's all about talent, it's not where you're from, it's where you're at.
Indeed. And I mean, we've talked about how you happened upon Trev's work, and when you're working together, was it a case you were just being led by his talent and letting him cook in terms of what you were collaborating together on? I'm thinking more about the bigger piece that you've done as well beyond Pepita Coffee.
That was sort of just a complete surprise for you, and it did take a while.
Yeah,
it took a long time.
I just fed you information and input, and then you went and did the clever stuff.
It was little interviews really, and Norm sent me an email outlining all his favourite things, And I kind of narrowed that down, and then it just became a multi-layered piece with all his favourite things in. Really, it was fun to do. It's something I've done with a few artists now. Danny Rampling, I think Ronnie Size is next. But I mean, there's an obvious reason for aligning yourself with people, but it's a really fun thing to do too, and it actually gives me a lot of inspiration. As I say, you know, the smiley in that piece gave birth to all these smileys in here with different record lyrics on, and they've gone down a storm. So it's you get your inspiration from something, and it takes you down another rabbit hole, and off you go again. It's good.
Indeed. And how has this inspired you creatively, Norm, in terms of, you know, you say you're not an artist, but you fanboy about it. Do you take any inspiration from watching artists at work and bring that into your own work musically? How do you, or have you just...
No, I think because the skills of, though a lot of the imagery and the ethos of it is the same, the skills of making a piece of art is so different from music. Like I said, that's why I like it, because I can't work out how the hell you do it. It's like, you know, it's like people might not know what it's like to construct a tune in the studio and know about reverb and, you know, compression and things like that. But in terms of, you know, the way art is put together, it's like there's a romance about it, because I don't know how you do it. How do you think of that? How do you translate? How do you make things look that lifelike, or how do you play with imagery like that? Whereas with music, it's like, I know how it's done. And because that's the thing, that's my innocent pleasure is. If I hear a really good record, I just think, you bastard. Why didn't I think of that?
Why didn't I do that?
Why didn't I think of that? Or how can I use that idea that I really like out of that and, you know, get away with it or take it a bit further? I listen to it critically. Whereas art, because I have no idea how it happens.
But it is exactly the same too.
It's probably just a different skill or a different, you know, it's a different talent, and then you've done your 10,000 hours probably. But I love it because I don't know how, and every time I do see it made, it makes it come alive more. But most brilliant artists, it's not like, if you peel back the layers and saw how they did it, it's like you're still baffled. But why did you do it? You know, not just how is it physically created, you know, how have you got that flow of line, or you know. So there's an innocent enjoyment of it, whereas music is a little bit tainted because it's my business.
And like you say, you know, you peek behind the curtain, you know how the secrets are done in terms of the tricks. Like, is it the flip side for you, Trev, in terms of music versus your art? Are you...
Yeah, the two sort of go hand in hand. I mean, going back to the Smiley, it was 1988 when I first went to Ibiza.
Yeah.
And I came from Selsey Bill, came from this quite a little village. And I remember landing in Ibiza, walking into this bar in San Antonio, and Little Louis French Kiss was playing. And I was like, what the hell is this? I've never heard music like this. And it was mind-blowing. And then my love of music came from there, and the Smiley Face and the acid house and all of that. That's where it was all born, really. But music and art go hand in glove. A lot of what I do is music influenced.
Yeah,
you know,
and that is what drives your inspiration.
Absolutely, yeah. I love music. You know, I was never really a record collector, but always loved music, and just constantly download now. And it does definitely influences my work. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and it's pinching yourself working with Fatboy Slim, I'd imagine, as well. I mean,
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So what's kind of next in the partnership between you guys? What can we expect to see coming up?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, Christ, let's get tonight over with.
Let's do that.
See if we still like each other.
let's try that. Yeah, let's go with that.
We've done one session. Oh no, we haven't. No.
What?
We haven't done one of these before, have we?
No, this is our first one.
Okay.
First of many.
It's quite an interesting 2 hours we're going to have. Yeah. We may not be friends at the end of it.
I'll just keep my head down.
Might never happen again. Yeah, so, you know, it'll be interesting what you can learn from each other, maybe, in terms of what's next.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've got ideas. I mean, the reflections of Grace Jones over there, you know, I've spoken to Norm about doing a Fatboy Slim one. So I've got some ideas I want to talk to you about.
They look even better seeing them
in real life. Yeah. The Big Grace one is my favourite so far.
They really get 3D and alive, don't they?
But I quite like the idea of doing one with you with the image there with the helmet, having you low down with right here, right now, sort of in.
I think I'd actually like to be naked in the shower.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm not going to photograph that one though.
No.
You can make it like a shower door.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, we're hopefully we're planning something. Lucy be on the phone planning something. Lucy's my manager, and she has threatened me with death if I don't mention her. By the way,
okay,
because she's been a really good part of the business and really helped me.
Yeah,
it's all right. Yeah, cool. And my wife exceptionally understanding too.
Excellent. It's fantastic what you guys have achieved together. I can't wait to see kind of what does come next. And, obviously we've got this evening as well. It's Labyrinth Gallery. You're here. You're signing the coffee canisters for VIP paying guests. And we've got a queue down the street already.
Amazing.
People coming in. So, like you say, Norm, how many things of these have you done where, how do you like meeting your fans and interacting with people that can be a bit starstruck?
No, it's really fun. The hardest thing about doing this is trying not to talk to people too much, because it's quite a production line, and you go, but so many people have got one question they want to ask you, or one observation, and especially something like this where it's coming from an art point of view rather than people talk to me about paintings that I like or artists that I like, rather than just, how did you get the name Fatboy Slim, or when's your next gig, or, So it's nice to talk to people, fellow art fans, about art, because like I said, that's my passion. And the hardest thing is not chatting for people to do too long, because otherwise you get behind on. We've got how many people?
I think it's 260.
Yeah, we've got 260 people to do. That's a lot to do.
We've got the Sharpies ready to go.
Sharpies at the ready.
But no, it's a joy. It's one of the it's one of the nicer things to do. To actually get to talk to people, and and they and I'll be there are people who have some weird connection, especially in Brighton. People go, my brother went to school with your mum, or something like that. Or just chatting about art. I could chat about art much longer than I would chat about music or my career.
Wow. Let's wrap it up there.
And let's do this.
Let's do it. Cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you.